All right, so this is going to be a reading for Sagittarius. And for the Sagittarius that I'm reading for today, um, I'm seeing that you could be a little bit stuck in your head with the overall energy of the Eight of Swords. The Six of Cups is here as well, so there could be something from your past that you're a little bit stuck on. And there's a cycle here that's asking to be closed. You're working on kind of balancing out your energy and closing it off once and for all, but it does seem to be a little bit difficult at this time. So that's what this reading is going to be about. Now, before I dive in deeper to these energies, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for receiving this reading. If you would like a personal reading, I love to do them, and you can get a reading from me at my website, ajstarot.com, which is also linked down below in the description box. And if this reading resonates with you, please take a moment to like and subscribe, as that helps out my channel quite a bit. So, Sagittarius, let's jump into it. So, for the Eight of Swords, we have the Two of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands. So I see you really going back and forth between learning from something that happened and being really weighed down by it. And so there could be a part of you that sort of recognizes there was a lesson in this experience. I'm growing from it. It needed to happen. That I see as kind of being your higher self. And then at the same time, it's like there's something in there that weighs you down so much. You might kind of regret some of your actions. You might kind of wonder, oh, if I had done this or this thing differently, things would have turned out a different way. But it's almost like you can't see through the forest of your own mind there, and there's a lot attached to whatever happened and the way that you perceive it that has really stayed with you and kind of impacted you. Your oracle cards today are Guilt, the Outsider, and Beyond Illusion. And with that Eight of Swords here, it's almost like you're not seeing something clearly because you're so stuck in your own perception of what happened. The Eight of Swords can also be about limiting beliefs. So there's something here where Spirit wants you to see beyond the illusion of your own mind and kind of maybe some of the narratives that you created, just some of the perceptions that you might be a little bit stuck in around this situation that you need to kind of break free from. With Guilt, the Outsider, and Beyond Illusion, Guilt with that Ten of Wands, Eight of Swords energy, it's very much like you could be very hard on yourself about your actions in the past. And there's something here that you're not seeing about the situation and also about yourself that you would see if you could kind of let go of that heaviness. There's something just beyond the hedge there, just around the corner, that's kind of waiting to be seen by you if you can let go of your perception. So it's a bit of a challenge because you're being asked to let go of what you think you know so that you can see something entirely new. And so you're kind of turning this on its head so you can see it from a new perspective. So pretty deep reading that we have here for you. Let's get into the cards here. We have the Queen of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, the Six of Swords. So in the recent past, you're showing me a lot of your energy going towards moving on or moving forward in the physical realm. So if this had something to do with a family, you're showing me I put all my efforts into moving on, moving away from the family. If this had to do with a job, you're showing me I put all my efforts into leaving that job, putting myself in a different environment. Many of you, this may have had to do with just a change of scenery, moving to a new place, getting out of your old neighborhood, something like that. Let's take a look at your energy in the past here with the Queen of Pentacles. The Knight of Cups, the Five of Pentacles, the Judgment card. You're telling me that you had to make a decision that was pretty difficult, one that you kind of wish you didn't have to make, but it was kind of for the best. You're showing me, I assessed the situation. There were sort of some insurmountable difficulties, and I just came to the conclusion that I needed to do what was best for me, even if it was difficult. With the devil at the bottom of the deck, you're kind of showing me there was something toxic or unhealthy going on in your environment, and it was kind of for the best to move forward. Many of you, there could have been some drama that needed to kind of be put to rest, and you're saying, I just did what I had to do, even though it was hard. Let's take a look at the Seven of Pentacles, the Emperor, the Knight of Swords, the Page of Wands. They're showing me that there was some type of really strong force around you. I'm kind of getting the phrase, what is it? An unstoppable force meets an immovable object. I'm seeing that you were kind of moving along your path there with the Knight of Swords and kind of just doing your best, and you came up against this immovable object, this Emperor, that was kind of in your environment that you had to kind of work with in some way. For some of you, this could have been like a boss that you had to collaborate with in order to get things done. It could have been a roommate who you had to work with in order to, get your house in order. But it's almost like you were coming up against this powerful person or energy that it was almost hard to kind of move them or, exist with them or something like that. And I'm also kind of seeing that there could have been some deception in that relationship because we have the Moon, the Three of Cups. So it's almost like maybe you thought you were heading in one direction with them, or you thought that you could trust them, and then actually something else was going on. For some of you, there might have been like an issue with gossip or just things not being perceived correctly. People could have been, talking behind your back, behind closed doors. You could have felt like, I think I know what's going on, but then it actually turns out that there's something else that's actually going on, is kind of the situation. It doesn't come off as, evil and lying and cheating and all of this, but with the Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck, there definitely was some type of painful exchange, and I'm seeing that you kind of just had to move on for your own sort of well-being with that Six of Swords. We have the Six of Pentacles, the Chariot, the Hermit. Yeah, you're showing me I had to move forward in order to heal, in order to get better, in order to go where I'm meant to be. Ten of Cups, you're kind of showing me I was in pursuit of not only balance and healing, but also happiness. And, I don't want to be where I'm not wanted. I want to go somewhere where I'm wanted. And the Chariot and the Hermit kind of has this energy of fate. So it kind of looks like after a certain point, things were kind of out of your hands. This was going to happen one way or another. For many of you, this could have been divine redirection or divine protection. So Spirit kind of taking you from one place and moving you to another place, especially if you felt in your last environment like you were really stagnant, you weren't moving forward, you weren't growing. Spirit's kind of saying we had to take you out of that environment, and this might have been the mechanism through which that happened. And so with that guilt card and the Eight of Swords, you might be kind of thinking about the past and thinking like, well, maybe if I had done things differently, it would have gone differently. And sure, to a certain extent, that's true. Our actions influence things. But there's also an element of the universe being at work here and divine changes being at play. And there's it's almost important for you to know that you were just one part of this larger energy that was shifting and moving around. And ultimately, if something was hurting you or it wasn't feeling good, it's okay for you to move on and to seek out something healthier for you. Let's take a look at the current energy. You have the Four of Swords, the Three of Wands, the Six of Cups. I see you healing right now with that Four of Swords, really taking a break, resting. And as you rest, you kind of reflect on the past and you start to kind of work through some of those energies. Let's take a look at the Four of Swords, the Two of Wands, the Four of Swords, the Nine of Cups. You're kind of just showing me I'm focused on my healing right now. I'm focused on my happiness, kind of restoring my energy. The Nine of Cups can be about nourishment, kind of filling your cup. And you're showing me I'm restoring myself through a very restful period. And that's going to look different for everyone. Some of you might be taking time off of work. Others of you might just be vacationing. Others of you might just be meditating more, or doing some type of restorative practice like getting a massage once a week or something. But you're showing me that you recognize the pain that you've been through, you recognize the heartbreak, and you're kind of taking some intentional time to slow down in whatever way that means for you. And like I said, as you do that, you reflect on the past. Let's take a look at the Six of Cups, the Lovers, the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Swords. You're showing me that you're looking back on the relationships, but you're not really understanding them. And with the Three of Wands here, the Three of Wands can be about reflection and observance, but it can also be about waiting and sort of, again, looking in from the outside and trying to receive something and waiting to receive it. And so I see like you're trying to make sense of what happened in the past. And there could have been something about the relationships that you experienced in the past that felt really faded. Like maybe if it was your family, it could have felt like, I've shared a past life with these people. Maybe it was a relationship that you were deeply connected to. Even a pet could have felt like a faded companion in your life. And I see you kind of looking at the past and asking yourself, well, what was really the purpose of that? What was I meant to learn? If it was faded, why did it hurt so much? If it was faded, why did it leave my life? And I think that, again, there is a lesson there for you to learn about this. And I see you kind of trying to figure out what that was. We have the Five of Swords, the Page of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles. I'm kind of seeing you as a very solid kind of character in this. I'm seeing that you did your best. You acted from the best intentions. You're showing me honesty. You're showing me reliability. And we all make mistakes, but I'm kind of seeing that you put the best of yourself into this, and that makes you really question what happened, because you're like, how did it all kind of come falling down, or why did it get so messy? Why did it get so unhealthy? And there's a part of you that's trying to make sense of this, and as you make sense of this, it doesn't quite make sense, because you're looking at it and you're saying, well, I put in the best parts of myself, but it ended up so terribly, so was it my fault? Did I do something wrong? And Spirit's saying that is a misperception. You're being way too hard on yourself, and it's actually clouding you from seeing the truth of the situation, which is that other energies were involved as well. It wasn't just you. And if you really did put your best self into it, and you put in, your best intentions, it wasn't really your fault. It wasn't really on you past a certain point, because you just did the best that you could. Let's take a look at the Three of Wands. There's something here about your perspective. You're showing me that there was someone else involved who you were in a connection with them, but you felt alone. There was a part of you that it felt like they were never able to fully receive or fully hold or fully understand. And I'm almost seeing like you kept sort of presenting that part of yourself to them and saying, look, this is the best of me, like, please take it and receive it. And it's almost like you're still kind of waiting on them to receive that part of you. Um, and part of what you might be healing is the part of you that was trying to work with someone else who kind of kept dropping the ball and couldn't receive all of who you were. And there's also something here about you recognizing that part of yourself and kind of validating who you are without this other person. And there might be a part of you that looks back and thinks, well, maybe if I'd been different, or maybe there's something wrong with me that this person couldn't receive it. And I'm kind of seeing that it wasn't about you, and if anything, this connection was kind of splitting you in half, because there was the you that you showed up to with this person, and then there was the you that you actually were. And so part of the process that you're going through right now is really just about coming back to yourself and finding happiness outside of this other kind of energy. And many of you might have had families, like you had like a partner and kids, and you were kind of alone between those two energies. Even if you were part of the family and on the surface it looked like you were a part of the whole crew, there was something within you that kind of stood out separately and wasn't being fully held. And so I see you kind of overthinking the past, in the sense that you're hard on yourself and you're saying, like, was I not enough for those people? And it's not that you weren't enough for them, it's that who they were, for whatever reason, just could not hold the entirety of who you are. But you have a very beautiful and capable energy, Sagittarius, and Spirit wants you to kind of recognize that you are enough as you are. You are whole. The person that you are is more than enough. And you have access to a very spiritual part of yourself that kind of leads you in life. And at times that might be a lonely path. Many of you, I'm seeing, came into some type of spiritual realization, some kind of deeper understanding of who you are. And this was kind of destined. We have the World, we have the High Priestess, the Hermit, the Justice card. So there was something kind of fated about that spiritual transformation. And I'm seeing that you kind of had to step away from whatever this dynamic was so that you could fully step into your own spirituality and your own spiritual power. And there's just something about, like, those people just couldn't come with you. And it's not your fault. It's just how it was. You outgrew them is essentially what it is. And that's okay. I'm seeing that you're kind of still working on that spiritual process. And part of it is just integrating what happened in the past with where you are in the present moment. And that is a process that might continue for a little bit as you work on yourself and make sense of everything. But that cycle is trying to close out, and the energy that you're putting into processing it will help close that out. Let's take a look at the 8 of Pentacles, 9 of Swords, Temperance, the 6 of Swords. Part of your task moving forward is going to be about balancing out that part of you that kind of obsesses over this and gets really upset and gets really anxious and really triggered. Spirit wants you to work on centering yourself, processing this, being kind to yourself. And it's not about, like, shutting down your feelings and feeling really intensely and being like, oh, Sagittarius, you shouldn't feel that way. No, it's more about letting yourself feel the feelings and with time moving through those feelings. And for some of you, this could feel like a full-time job. But with the Tower at the bottom of the deck, Spirit's saying that a foundation that you once relied on came down, and it was a big deal. And it makes sense that you're going to have these huge feelings that come up around it because it's still in your energy and it's still being processed. And so it's important for you to take the time to really work through it. Some of you I see writing, journaling, going to therapy, talking to other people, and just holding space for yourself to kind of move through those feelings. But remember that the goal is to eventually transmute them, to shift into a more peaceful energy, and so ultimately learn the spiritual lessons that you were meant to learn from that. And I also just had the image of someone like looking down on their own life from above. And so Spirit wants you to kind of step outside of your human self, your ego, the part of you that identifies with every single thing that happens, and take kind of a higher perspective. Step outside of your day-to-day life and ask yourself, what can I learn from what happened here if I, get a little bit of distance from it? Because there's a cycle here that's closing, and it's trying to close, and it wants your participation to close out. We have the Queen of Swords, the Six of Wands, the Magician. Really what this is about you stepping into your power so that you can create the life that you want, the life that you deserve, and so that you can bring something into this world. And for many of you, that has to do with speaking your truth, owning your story. Some of you might write a book about your experiences. Some of you might go and give talks to people. You might counsel people. But there's something here that wants to be created from your energy, but it has to do with you taking all of the experiences of your past, understanding them, learning from them, and then sort of shifting them into something that can help the world, or something that is contributed to the world. And so some of you, this might be like a painting project, and you kind of channel this energy into your paintings. But it requires you to sort of dig deep and own your experiences rather than being a victim of them, rather than feeling guilty and, feeling upset at yourself and angry and ashamed and all of these things. It's almost like a diamond being formed under pressure. You're taking these raw materials and you're forming something new and something beautiful out of them. So really special reading for you today, Sagittarius. Don't give up on yourself, and don't stay stuck in a certain perception. If something is hurting you in the way that you're thinking about it, don't be afraid to ask yourself, is that really the truth? Is that really what happened? Is that really the most useful way for me to think about that? Is that the most positive narrative I can really create? And don't be afraid to interrogate some of those perceptions. So let's get 3 cards of advice, Sag, from the universe. Your 3 cards are the King of Wands, the 4 of Cups, the Hierophant. Some people, Sagittarius, will not learn the lesson. They won't hear the message. They won't always grow. And that's okay. That's a part of being alive. And everything is kind of impermanent, and so it's okay to move on when you're recognizing, they're not getting it. Another message in this is that just wasn't the path for you. It might have felt good for a time, but that just wasn't your path. You're meant to go in a different direction, and so you were redirected. So that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and I'll see you next time.